My name is Lisa Marie Simmons. I was adopted when I was 8 years old in Boulder, Colorado, as a transracial adoptee because my adoptive mother's white and my adoptive father's black. One really bright spot, besides my brother and sister, was my grandfather. And he was just a really kind, loving man. And he welcomed me with open arms. And he made me feel seen and loved. As a little kid, I didn't really know that I was Black until a certain point, just because I just felt like everybody. But then there were moments when racism started to rear its head that I realized that I was considered to be different by my classmates. And then Roots came along, and that television show had an enormous impact on me. So there was this struggle with my identity at that point. But through this, our grandfather was no different at all. He just always treated us the same. My grandmother really did not like me and didn't like any of the three of us. Everybody tries to tell you that they are progressive and they don't see color and they're not racist and it doesn't exist here. As I grew and was trying to figure out my place, these insidious whispers about my grandfather started to surface.
Joining us from her home in Italy, Lisa Marie Simmons. Welcome to the show, Lisa. My goodness, you've been living there for 20 years, but as we just saw, you grew up in Boulder, Colorado with your adoptive family. I was just looking at one of the photos that was there. It was the group picture. You are all smiling. I mean, it looks like what people say they hope America is, you know, this melting pot, you know, various shades and everybody's smiling. But we know that there was this dark secret that was in your family. I want to start, though, with identity. You said that race wasn't something that was openly discussed in the family. But by the time, you were about 9 or 10, that's when that identity crisis started for you. It breaks my heart to see, you know, you scratch out your face in those photos. You usually see people scratch out other people's faces, you know, if you want to erase someone from your memory, but you were trying to erase yourself. What happened?
As far as identity is concerned, you would be astounded how many transracial adoptees there are in the world that struggle with racism in their families. I've met so many people on this journey it's around the world. And yes, at the center of this is identity.
You're absolutely right. There are many stories like this. I have never heard one with the climactic family secret, let's be honest, that yours holds. And that is your grandfather, the person who nurtured you, who was white, was a member of the KKK. So you showed, yes, with these, you know, blended families, the complexities. I don't know of anyone else whose family secret is that their grandfather, who was white, is a member of KKK or was a member of the KKK. I mean,
yeah, okay. I guess.
And I don't mean to make light of that. Please understand, I'm not making light of this at all because it has to be quite traumatic when you first learn this. But I do want to just take a step back. You believe your adoptive mother may have married your adoptive father who was Black as a way to get back at the family. There was already some history there.
I absolutely believe that. Yeah, I really do. She is a really complicated, really troubled woman. And so we started hearing whispers we were talking about when I was like 9 or 10. And that's when we started hearing little things in the family about the fact that he might have been a member of the KKK, my grandfather.
What were those things you heard?
So I think probably after Roots came out and we were starting to think about identity, about being Black, like that we were actually Black, that is the time when I started hearing something. And I can't tell you any specific conversation, just that it existed in our family. So my adoptive mother talked a lot about the fact that half of her family, half of her brothers and sisters were racists. So that I knew without a doubt. And she actually, after she adopted us, cut off all contact with them. So I knew that as a fact. As far as my grandfather was concerned, I just remember overhearing little conversations with with my mother, speaking with friends and stuff, but I can't give you a specific. I was really small.
Okay.
I had just arrived in the family. I was adopted at the age of 8, so I was trying to just be quiet and get along and survive.
Yeah. Was with your grandfather, as you talked about, he was still nurturing toward you, your adoptive grandmother, not so much. In my mind, a member of the KKK probably uses the N word, for example, casually. Did you ever see or witness anything like that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. By the time that my adoptive mother married my father, so my aunt Amanda tells me he really had mellowed a lot. And for some reason, he loved the three of us, the three kids that they adopted, and he really loved my father. So I never heard that word cross his lips. And I just have wonderful, I mean, I didn't know him for that long because as I said, I was adopted at the age of 8, and then he died a few years later. So, but the time that I spent with him, there was nothing that made me feel like I was anything less than completely loved.
Wow. Well, you referenced your Aunt Amanda. After the break, Lisa's adoptive aunt, Amanda, will join us. What role she played in revealing the family secret. Welcome back. We're talking with Lisa Marie Simmons, who found out that her adoptive grandfather was a member of the KKK. And joining us now is Lisa's aunt, Amanda Buchanan. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us as well. So Lisa was telling us about, the rumors that had existed for many years. Were you aware of those rumors as well, Amanda?
Well, there were things like going to rallies and being in marches, and never really specifically what those marches were, but it was pretty, they talk about getting rid of the Jews and the Catholics, and the N word was used all the time. Not Italians, any racial group was just really put down. So it was always there, and my dad talked about this. These were things he did in the 20s, the late 20s, early 30s.
Lisa, you at some point went to your Aunt Amanda to verify these rumors. What was that like for you? Because she was the key to unlocking this secret in some ways.
I started a Facebook group with a friend of mine from Boulder, Colorado. It was right in the wake of George Floyd, and a lot of people were waking up to their privilege in Boulder, Colorado, famously really white town, and asking me about my experience in Colorado and how, and talking about how it differed from theirs and being surprised by that. And so I put together this Facebook group to talk about that and to talk about, what it's like for BIPOC people in a predominantly white community. And in this Facebook group, I had written a post saying, and it is rumored that my grandfather was in the KKK, and my Aunt Amanda wrote a post, and a beautiful post, and she talked about her life and her memories and told me, and yes, he actually belonged to the KKK.
Amanda, when you hit send on that confirmation on Facebook, what did you think would happen? Did you think it would be an opportunity to kind of close that family secret off and shut the door on it?
I was hoping so, yes. And, my father and I became very close when I was in college. After I was divorced and had children, he was a caregiver for my son and my daughter. And we had long conversations. It was after Roots came on the TV that he began to really mellow. And it was after Lisa's adoptive parents were married. And it was just probably 6 or 7 months before he died when he admitted to me that, yes, he'd been a part of the KKK.
Amanda, what did your father say to you at the end of his life to explain his involvement with the KKK? How did he explain it to you?
Well, he explained it to me as being a young man in the late 20s early 30s. Colorado was extremely prejudiced. The governor at that time was even a member of the Klan. So it was just more like an association that you did at that time. If you were a white person he was raised in southern Colorado, which was heavily Hispanic and Catholic. So there was a lot of prejudice was directed towards that community more than any other community at the time, as he explained it to me. And it was just something that young men did, is what he said. And he believed what he was told about people. And as he got older, after he was 65, he and I had a lot of talks, and I never really understood the prejudice in the family. I didn't get the prejudice. And I said, well, yeah, but here are these kids and they're all black. Why? And I know you love them. He said, well, I've mellowed. I understand things better now. That was all he really said.